Hey guys, Rabbit here, back with another Starcraft Broodwar Remastered cast, and today we have yet another retro game featuring Artosis, and his opponent today is EzGamer. I don't know exactly who or what other alias this player goes by, but we will have to see how he goes today. He is playing Zerg, so we have a TVZ on Destination. This game was uploaded to Team Liquid by In Control in 2008. In Control, of course, a very beloved contributor to the Brood War scene for many years, who very sadly passed away of a sudden illness in 2019. But he will be fondly remembered, especially for the great games he played and the interesting games that he uploaded and gave for us to enjoy many years later. Alright, so we have a TVZ. We are on Destination, a map that was massively popular at this time. We also have a very early move out from our friend Artosis. He looks like he's planning to build a proxy of some kind. Is this really our Artosis? Building an offensive engineering bay to block the hatchery first. And I think one of the reasons why this is so effective is there is not another close alternative for the Zerg to take their second hatchery at. So this is really going to disrupt the Zerg player. So the solution is just to throw down the pool in the meantime and start maybe knocking down this offensive eBay with some lings and going from there. So I think pretty calmly responded to by our Zerg. Artosis, of course, a very, very well-known, experienced Terran player, probably had a specific strategy for this map in mind, which was the offensive eBay. Knowing that this is a two-player map, knowing the timings, I think all of that was very intentional. Of course, a hatch can be thrown down here, because naturally what will happen is a third hatch will come pretty soon into this game. So I don't think Zerg is particularly concerned. It's a little bit disruptive, but it's really not the end of the world. The pool is about to finish, and after that we will see a couple of lings. Its offensive eBay will be tidied up if Artosis doesn't just go ahead and cancel it, which he probably will do, which is why he's only built it to a point, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so Artosis meanwhile has his gas going. He's first barracks is up. He's not building any marines at this stage, and his gas is pretty early. So this could be Mech Artosis, which I honestly can tell you I've never seen before. I've watched his stream quite a lot, obviously in more recent times than when this game was played, and I don't ever see him go Mech. So so let's see. Is he going to hit the cancel button on this before it dies? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, it does just in time. Alright, cool. So he gets a little bit of a refund on his purchase. And here comes the factory. Alright, it's meching Artosis, boys and girls. 2-fac Artosis. The rage, the aggression, the style, the swagger. I'm really pumped up, man, to see what even happens here. So obviously the idea of the offensive eBay is to delay Zerg a little bit to make room for the factories. He's got a very tight wall here with a marine behind it. I don't think the lings are going to be able to achieve much by way of pressure. The Overlord can see this, but it hasn't really gone in to peek to find the factories. But I think as Zerg, you must suspect something is up. It could be 111. It could be what we see that it actually is, which is 2-fac. So certainly there is, and here we go. He's going to fly the Overlord in. Oh no, he stops here. Doesn't want to lose the Overlord because that could really hurt at this early stage of the game. Layers coming in now from our Zerg. Third, which is actually his second hatch, coming in now, along with the sunken colony. Okay, so he's putting himself, preparing maybe for that Vulture to come through. If he has correctly suspected that this is Mech. Nice micro here, keeping the SCV alive. This bloody Bengal ass getting in the way. But he hasn't taken a hit on this SCV until that moment. So let's see. This Overlord is getting a little more bold, although he's getting shot in the head. You're going to lose this Overlord, and you really can't afford to. Although, is the scouting information that valuable to you? I don't know. Alright, so there are 4 Vultures out already. We're getting speed for them first, maybe, and then we'll get mines. But I think the idea of the speed is to make them really hard to stop with a single sunken. So zoom around here, back into the mineral line, although that probably explains exactly why he's gone and built a creep behind this extractor here. Expecting this. Alright, so the Hydroden comes into play, the layers here, the spires here. So I love seeing the responses from Zerg to a meching Terran. There is never a one size fits all, this is how we do. Everyone has got a slightly different approach. This is a lot of Vultures though, man. It's coming in here with 6 Vultures. The Sunken runs straight past it, although the other Sunken, and he sees it and he decides to hightail out of there, and he loses 2 Vultures and doesn't really get anything for his efforts. I think now what will probably happen is mines will come in here as we see it, as I say it, in the production tab. He's building his command center to expand because he's at this point, all intents and purposes, still just a one-basing Terran. He may bring back 1 or 2 Vultures after he's laid the mines just to pick off these straggling Zerglings to land that command center, and then we'll progress into a fairly normal, in inverted commas, TVZ, but it's definitely a meching Artosis. Alright, so the Goliaths are out. It could just be a Goliath-based build. Goliaths are obviously your alternative if you don't want to use turrets and marines to block Mutalisk harassment. Here come the first Mutas, so it's going to definitely test the positioning of Terran to make sure that he has Goliaths in all the right places. These Vultures now were laying their mines, and they've been allowed to continue to do so. They would have spotted the Mutas incoming, so Artosis positions his Goliaths where he feels they need to be. There is no base. Okay, so that SCV has unfortunately died. There is no command center being landed yet. Here comes the first bit of harassment. Another SCV gets picked off, so he lost 2 SCVs there fairly cheaply, did Artosis. He's going to lose another one here and another one. Unfortunately, the shortcoming of this plan is that Goliaths are slow. They are slow. Yes, their missiles are strong, and yes, their anti-air is good, especially in critical numbers. But the reality is, in early game, when you only have a handful, they are slow as shit. Artosis is not building more units out of the barracks, so he isn't sort of transitioning back into a bio play. I think he's pretty committed to the mech. But the counter from Zerg, going with the Mutas, I think was definitely the right call, and he's getting a lot of value from it. Another SCV, killing that SCV that was making that turret, getting another SCV and another one. Artosis only has 22 SCVs. He's falling miles behind economically in this game. The Mutas need to get out of here though. They've been pinned and they're sitting in a flock, although he thinks he's got the numbers to take this. He's got about 9 Mutas and he moves out. He's going to pick off these Vultures if he wants to. Okay, so this command center's landed, but this base is not mining. Artosis is miles behind economically. He's got 35 workers, building another hatchery in base. So he's basically going to become a 4 hatching Zerg. He could potentially expand because of the map control that these Mutalisks are giving him, and maybe that's the next plan for our Zerg player. Artosis needs to go out and do some damage, otherwise Zerg's just going to run away and he's never ever going to be able to catch up. So just keeping his Mutalisks moving around the map, picking off mines, trying to block all the vision that Artosis would want to have, to give him some doubts and to maybe bait him into moving out when he's not ready to. Artosis' plan is obviously to just get his bases up saturated again, get both of his command centers going. He also now doesn't have the luxury of building scanners because he needs his command centers to be building SCV, so he can build the academy. I don't know if he's done it yet, probably not. But when he builds his academy, you know, he's needing scanners sooner rather than later because he needs to track the movements of our Zerg, who has taken a third, as I expected he would, to go up to 5 hatches. And our Zerg player is in a very, very powerful position. I do not like this game for Artosis at all. I don't think he was able to thwart the Mutalisk harassment with Goliath nearly as well as he needed to, and is now sitting in a pretty weak position. Alright, so some more Mutas coming in here. They're going to target. There's only one turret that can get them. In fact, if they stack and hit the turret will go down pretty easily. Another missile, another SCV picked off. Very, very decent Mutalisk harassment here from our Zerg. Seems to be a very, very solid player. And behind this, because it is a meching Terran, he is stacking up a lot of hydralisks and is probably got a critical mass to come and execute a timing attack almost on the natural of Terran. Although I would advise against that move, because as Zerg you don't need to do anything. You can I dare I say it, you can just sit there and hatch up, get yourself 10 hatches, take all the bases, and make Terran come to you. They have to beat you. They're behind. You're miles ahead. Just when you're ahead, as they say, get further ahead. The harassment, yes, absolutely, but don't go and throw away your hydras now. It's not necessary. Alright, so the mutas do come in. Gets another SCV. Takes a lot of hits there. They lost one muta in exchange for SCV, so not a good trade. Going to take down another SCV though. He's just being really, really annoying, which I suppose also has other tactical advantages against somebody with a temperament like Artosis. Could take down this turret again. He hasn't rebuilt the one that died here, so he could really get some harassment going if he wants to. I think he notices this now. Okay, so the Goliath snuck beautifully behind the refinery. I didn't see him there. That was very well done. So the mutas decide to hightail it out of there. Yeah, I don't know about that. 97 to 77 almost has me wondering, could if he combined these mutas with all these hydras that he has here, could he just walk across the map and kill him? I mean, he does have siege mode, he does have some tanks now. I cast a game today of Jaedong against Flash, where Flash also went mech, and the difference maker in that game really just was the tank count, and that it just got beyond critical mass. So interestingly enough, the tanks now are being produced 2 at a time. So Artosis is seeming to try and play a style where tanks are going to become significant, because over time the hydras will not scale nearly as well as what the tanks will, and that's why the strategy works for the Terran. Okay, so some Vultures out on the map laying mines. I think he wants some vision as to where the Terran, where the Zerg opponent is and where he isn't in terms of his bases. So he's also got this Vulture here on this little back end base, which can be accessed by just taking this mineral patch. Evo Chamber's coming in, so our Zerg can start working on his upgrades. Okay, so it's a 4 facking, 2 basing Terran. And now the question's got to be, does he try and set up his 3rd base? There's a Zergling here that's scouting when this might happen. And is this a drop? Yes, it is. Okay, so he's done a hydralisk drop. There's no lurkers in amongst this, but I think they're going to do pretty good damage anyway. And he's going to kill the armory, which is going to deny the upgrade. I think that's a very, very powerful move. The Goliaths do come across here, and there's a lot of them, so I think these hydras will get tidied up, but they're going to trade pretty well, although that sieging up noise is absolutely terrifying. If you're a hydra, you don't want to be hearing that. He's going to pick away at this eBay. That's not actually an issue, because the eBay is not serving much purpose for him. He's not upgrading because he's not playing with bio. The hydras are just getting... They're not even... You might as well fight with them. You're not even doing anything. You're just doing anything but wrecked by 1 siege tank. So the hydras do go down pretty quick, smart. And that drop actually, in my view, was a net loss for Zerg. I don't think he gained anything from that at all. Artosis responded pretty well to that, and he probably would have been better off just waiting for a fight in the middle of the map and continuing with his expansion plan. Okay, so we don't have a Queen's Nest. We don't look like we're trying to transition into Hive Tech yet at the 40-minute mark from our Zerg player. Most modern meta, you see the Hive really, really early in this match in ZVT. Zerg is getting to Hive Tech at the sort of somewhere between 10 and 14 minutes, depending on what units I want to try and beat the Terran with, whether it's Ultralisks, whether it's Cracklings, whether it's Defilers, or a combination of those 3. I think as Zerg, your challenge is always the correct unit composition. You have a lot of choices and a lot of flexibility, a lot more than the other 2 races. But in that, it also creates a challenge of making the right choices at the right time in the game, and that can always be a bit of a pain in the ass to get right. Okay, so starport's coming in, and I think that's just going to facilitate further upgrades. The armory is being remade. I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 armories quite soon, so that we can start to get double upgrades going, a la PVT type style, because this is a mech-based strategy. Muta's still just flying around, cleaning up these vultures. There's not a lot of bases on this map, so it really does come down to how quickly you can take the bases. And here we go, boys and girls. The tanks are moving out, the Goliaths are moving out, the Vultures are all but gone here, so this is tank Goliath. And where is he going to go is my question. There's a lot of Hydras here. These could culminate in some seriously juicy fights. And it looks like they're all going to converge on this ramp here. Now, this is not an ideal position for Zerg because the army will have to split, whereas the tank line can siege up sort of in a nice arc behind 2 or 3 lines of each other. And that will help a lot, although Artosis is late sieging up, although he pulls away anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just loses the 1 Hydra. The Goliaths here really do create a lot of flanking support. I don't think these Hydras can do anything. If the idea is to move past and backstab, that actually may be a good call. There's no base here, just an Overlord. This base is pretty weak in terms of its defenses. I think he might try and do a flank though. Couple of cheap Overlords here, so he supply block temporarily as our Zerg. He decides, you know what, screw that, I'm not going to engage head first into your freaking tanks. I'm just going to try and go to your natural and kill a whole hump of SCVs. And of course, Artosis, realizing that this happens, pulls his army back. He didn't actually have a very far distance to go, so a whole heap of Hydras were lost, and they really weren't able to achieve too much damage, although, to be fair, they probably did get about 10 SCVs for that. Alright, so the Hydras are conga lining forward. Suddenly this tank is a little bit less, although these are conga lining Hydras. They needed to probably converge here and then move in. He needs to flank. He cannot come in from one angle. It's just not enough. And here he tries the flank now, but I don't think it's that good. An LOL from one of the spectators. So many dead hydralisks, and they've achieved absolutely nothing. Artosis goes flying into the lead. Zerg, you need a new plan, mate, or your game is over. I think Artosis could just march across the map now and end this. I don't actually know what our Zerg's plan is, or if he's going to transition. So suddenly the hive did come up between the 4 minutes when I first mentioned it hadn't happened and now. But I don't see Lurker aspect. I see Mutalisk being made. So is this going to be Muta Hydra? Okay, so Muta Hydra could be a little bit more effective. It would at least slow down the tanks because the Goliaths would have to deal with the Mutas. But they need to attack together. They're not attacking together, it's only Mutas. Although, they're doing pretty well against these Goliaths. So suddenly he has to move away. All the Goliaths just about evaporated for some reason. And the Mutas are suddenly doing some really good work here. So all of those tanks that were ripping bases and have actually taken down this hatch are going to be picked off really, really quickly. So our solution from our Zerg, who's come roaring back into a commanding lead, is just mass Mutas. And this sort of came out of nowhere. It was like suddenly the Goliath count was just reset in a flash. It was insane. Dang, In Control says. He's so all in. Was. Yeah, he was so all in. But now, all of these Mutas are just changing the flow of this game. It's 143 versus 111. Artosis is in a heap of trouble. And he's still at 20 minutes on 2 bases. Come on, man. Too much tanks. Yeah, he's got a lot of tanks. We had a lot of tanks. But he hasn't expanded. Yes! In Control! I hear you. I hear you, and I agree. It's 20 minutes. He's still on 2 bases. Come on, Artosis. Behind that attack, you had to be expanding, surely. Look at the Mutas! This has got to be 24 plus Mutas. This is absolutely insane. So you want to know how to beat a making Terran? It's Mutas galore. That was fun to say. Some Vultures are moving around. They've discovered, oh, you've taken another base, have you? I don't know how to do that. I've just taken 2. He's mined out. He's basically mined out. Okay, so he is making the command center. Let's stop now whinging about this all the time. He's going to have to land it here. But I just think the amount of harassment that he'll be able to put on that base with those Mutas is huge. Okay, so the Hydras are here, and they have chased away the Vultures that were harassing this base. So he should be able to get that up and running again in no time. Mutas are all over the show patrolling, keeping my poor brain taxed, trying to keep track of all of the freaking colors on this map. Look at all of these Mutas! Mutas! Yeah! Yeah, booey! . Okay, so the command center exists. It is going to be floated here, and I think our Zerg friend is going to absolutely terrorize Artosis with more meters than you've ever seen in a game of Starcraft all at the same time. And he knows they are there because the mines are giving him vision of all of them. And I think that is the reason why he's very, very, very reluctant to try and land his base. How he is still in this game, considering he didn't manage to expand, is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. Alright, so the siege tank clears off the one little ling that's there. Here comes the command center, and here come the mutas. Alright, so what's your plan, Artosis, to stop this flock of mutas from killing your base? I want to know. Tell me. Yep, changes his mind. He's good. One source of income is fine. Oh my god, okay, so this is his plan. He has now built a whole heap of Goliaths and science vessels. And here they come, but there are turrets galore here, and what's going to happen is he's going to get flanked and irradiated. This is going to be pretty good for Artosis, because the Goliaths could come around and flank this, which means the Muta's escape is basically cut off. They were really badly stacked, and he lost so many Mutalisks there. He's basically got 3 left. That was a brutal trade. And that has actually given Artosis to get back, a chance to get back in this game, but he's got to get this 3rd up and running. He's got to get a 4th almost as soon as he gets his 3rd and get his worker count up so that he can just compete economically with the Zerg, because the Zerg's got so much money, so much hatch power, he can just keep reinforcing without any issues. So Artosis' solution is behind trying to set up his own expansion. He's moving on one of the Zerg ones. A couple of bruised mutas are picked off. That is the end of the mutas, guys, which basically means Hydras have got to fight this, and they are far, far, far less well equipped at this stage. There are so many Goliaths here. The tanks are sieged up. The Hydras are just getting chowed. There are skulls and bones and carcasses and blood and death. Artosis flies into a supply lead, which a few minutes ago seemed absolutely impossible. What is even happening in this game? Hydras suck in this match. I'm convinced that it's probably the right thing to do, but it just doesn't work. It has to be mutas or something. I don't know what to do as Zerg. I don't have the answer. But what I definitely can see with my own eyes is that Hydras are not working. Ow! One hatch just died in one shot from all those tanks, and that hatch was just gone. It evaporated. Oh man, he is taking so much damage. I don't even know if he knows what to do. He's just lost 3 hatches in the blink of an eye. That is brutal. Bye, hatch. Okay, kill the lava instead of the hatch. Bye, hatch. Okay, well that was anticlimactic. They let the hatch live. Why? I don't know. Alright, so all that being said, Artosis has moved into a little bit of a lead. He's now finally able to land his 3rd base. He's able to move his units into position here to end this base of the Zerg. And so suddenly now there is a much better chance for Artosis to arrive at economic parity, because he has got an overwhelming army power, which gives him the opportunity to destroy bases. The more bases he destroys, the more drones he kills, the more in the game he is. Suddenly some Ultras have arrived though. I think Ultras against these tanks will certainly give him some grief, so Ultras are the solution. They have the speed upgrade already by the looks of it. Where is he going to storm them from though? I don't know. He's going to move in on the natural. The Defilers have also arrived. Okay, so the transition into Hive Tech, which I think is probably a little bit overdue, has finally happened. I think that definitely gives Artosis something to think about. This base is now up and running. This is mined out. This is about to mine out. So he needs another base. His 3rd was so late. So late that he needs a 3rd and a 4th. And where is he going to take it? When is he going to take it? He's got to take it here probably. He's not building a command center though, so he seems content to have the one mining base for the time being. But you've got all these unemployed workers. It's just so unfortunate, the decision making earlier on in the game. It's really costing him. Looks like we're setting up for a drop here as our Zerg I don't know where we're going to try and drop, but let's see. Ow. Mines are good. Okay, the Vultures have come around the back here and eliminated this hatchery, so he's done a pretty good job in destroying bases, I must say. When his Mech army got up, he really managed to get something done with it. Alright, so the Overlords are coming here to drop units. Potentially an attempt to re-establish this base. It's difficult to say. So more Vultures in here killing drones. Got about 2 so far. Okay, so you got 3 drones in exchange for 4 Vultures. Vultures are basically free once you've laid your mines, so fair enough. Oh, Artosis fans are just so sad. Why? Why don't you have another 2 bases? You would have just walked, you would have just marched to victory. Now you're just going to have to grovel and grind as the Zerg player just gets stronger and stronger. If the Zerg player gets the right unit composition with all the maximum upgrades, particularly on Ultras, this game is going to become a lot harder to win. Oh, he's irradiated all these Overlords. He's got to drop them. He's going to lose everything that's inside. Drop, 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 drop. Oh no, he loses every Overlord and he got maybe a few units out. Ah! As is said by the observer, that was so brutal. Really, really brutal. Oh! And all the Overlords are dead. He's got 104. He needs so many Overlords just to be able to make another unity. And he's not even building Overlords. And his supply blocked into next week. Ow. Hydras, death. Ow. More Hydras, more death. Hydras are not the solution. Get Ultras, get Cracklings, get Dark Swab, get something else. Come on. Okay, so he's getting a little bit forward in this line, but this is such a deep line of tanks, and there's Vultures supporting, and there's Goliath supporting, and that's the end of that. So we just have a smoky cloud and nothing else. Alright, so it seems like Artosis is gearing up for another attack. He's just gonna do this on one base, man. He's not worried. Doesn't even look like he's wanting to establish another base. What I do find ironic is he trashes players for playing all in. He trashes players for coin flips. He trashes players for taking chances. And then he plays a game like this. Anyway, it's fine. Alright, so Zerg has gone, alright, well you left your front door wide open, so I'm just going to go in and wreck your shit. I'm going to force you to move your very slow, cumbersome mechanical army back to deal with that. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to kill your production, and I'm going to kill some depots, and I'm going to make your life pretty hard. So his 6 factories that he's got here is soon going to become 5? Is he going to get another one? I don't know. It looks like these Vultures are going to do some really good work here. That Ultralisk is gone. And the Zerglings and the Hydras will get tidied up in a flash. So, a nice little backstab attack. He's killing the armory as well. He's pulled back a lot of tanks. This would have bought him some time just to maybe look at re-establishing a base. Flying around with his mutas just to check exactly where Artosis' bases are and aren't. And yes, surprised to know he does actually only just have the one mining base at this stage. So this base is vacant, this base is vacant, this base is Zergs, this base is Zergs, this base is Zergs, this base is mined out, this base is mined out, this base is Zergs. So economically, Zerg still very much has the edge. But in terms of army power and army quantum, Terran still has an advantage for the time being. Okay, so these Overlords are just here to help clear the minefields. Artosis now is sort of turtled up again to protect his home. Isn't using his units to move out into the map to pressure, with the exception of his Vultures, which I don't think stand too much of a chance against these Ultras. They kind of evaporate quick. I think if I'm Zerg, I'm pretty comfortable that Artosis is going to run out of money way before I am. So what do I need to do? I just basically need to deny an expansion and I win. So I think Ultras was the right switch in terms of Ultra Ling. Probably a good way to play this game against this mech. I would certainly stick with that unit composition. Here we can see a nice cluster of that demonstrated. And I would just patiently wait for Artosis to starve to death. Dan can't win, right? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Artosis' name is Dan. And Jake is probably the other guy. So in control saying I have no idea. But yeah, I agree with the observers. I don't think he can win because he doesn't have another base and he doesn't seem to have the intention of trying to take one. I've enjoyed making Artosis, I'll be honest, but I can't. This is probably not one of the better games I've seen him play. That being said, it is 2008. He's obviously improved a hell of a lot since then. But yeah, cannot win without bases, boys and girls. Simple as that. Nice little bit of harassment here on this base from the Vultures. The observers even discussing what we're thinking about now, saying, is he going to expand? Is he going to try and expand? The answer is probably no. I mean, this command center he could float over. This command center he could float over. He probably still wants to do the scans. You could just grab a dropship and drop here. Get that going. He's falling behind on supply. And it's inevitable that he's going to do so because he only has so much money. Alright, so come on. Show me the power of this Ling Ultra composition, guys, with a little bit of Defiler support. Not a single muta fighting the entire army. That would not be appreciated. Alright, so some things are coming in here to pressure the only mining base. Although these tanks on the high ground are going to thwart that. Looks like, though, everything is headed this way. Lots of mines, though, for these Ultras to run into. And here come the Ultras against the Mech. The Mech's not sieged up because it had to move across first. So he's managed to get a few units on top of these tanks. There goes an Ultra and a lot of Ultra blood. The Lings, though, they're really good at these types of fights because they're able to get on top of the tanks, and he's really reducing the tank count. The supplies in this are so low, 77 to 62. Zerg has thrown everything but the kitchen sink here at Artosis. He's basically holding on by a thread. He can reinforce, can Zerg. He's got so much money and so many hatches. He just needs to do some macro. He's only evolving carapace, not building anything behind this. He needs to macro behind these attacks so that he can capitalize. The only source of income of Artosis' command center is floating up. Come on, Zerg, build some shit, man. Let's go. 6 Ultras along the way. He spent all his money in one go because he's got so many hatcheries and so much idle lava. And I think that's got to be the play here, is just to send in Ling Ultra. Let's go. Ling Ultra, you win. Deny expansion, you win. Oof! Mines. Ouch. Alright, so he sent his SCVs back to start mining again. He does have a little bit of money. He's got 35 SCVs all mining in one place. That really hurts. So the Lings know every other base is Zergs except this one. Artosis had to. He had to try and take this base. There was just no other option. I mustn't just carry on and on and on. No, I won't. I have the comment section for that. I'm sure the comment section will be telling me how bad Artosis is, so they don't need me to say anything for them. Oh, but just eating these mines. Jesus. A lot of irradiates though. He's got shitloads of science vessels. Zerg has had Aspire the whole game and built a ton of mutants, but not a single Scourge. I think some Scourge really would have got a long way here. The Hydras now can come into their own because the tank count is so low. So here come the Hydras to do their business and to knock down this base. I think this is going to be the beginning of the end for Artosis. He just doesn't have the income to sustain his factories. That being said, Zerg is down to 49 supply. He's got the bases, but he's got no drones. In fact, does he even have the bases? He's got this one. He's got this one. So he's got 2 mining bases. So Artosis identified, we've got 2 mining bases. If I can kill all these drones here, then you're 1 mining base. And he's got about 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 7 drones there. That was actually pretty effective. So Reduce the drone count here quite dramatically. He needs to get droned up a little bit more, although he only has 2 income streams, but our friend Artosis has got 1 and it's running pretty low. So Zerg is replenished a little bit, he's up to 62. I think he just needs to wait. As long as he keeps his vision on the expansions, he can wait until he's fully mined out and then just take a big fight and probably overwhelm. I think going in now more and more, where Artosis is just able to hold on because he's turtle up on a high ground, is really playing into his hands. It's probably not the right way to go. So this Vulture harassment continues and he's really wrecking this drone count. He's now into the 20s and soon he's going to be below 20. This is good play, but this is keeping Artosis in this game for sure. I think just 1 or 2 units perhaps blocking these ramps from Zerg would really go a long way to helping him. Here, as I'm saying, that he brings in a few Hydras, but constantly resetting the drone count. He's not rebuilding drones. There, for the first time, I see drones in his production tab because he's realizing it doesn't help that I've got 2 mining bases if I've got 0 saturation. I've got to get the sort of... There's no sunkens or anything here. So if Artosis tries the same move with those Vultures to try and harass this base, he's going to get a shitload of drones. And there you see the scanner going off. So now I think this is a very, very, very likely situation that more Vultures are going to head down. Here they come. I'm almost reading his mind as he does it. And he's going to come down here. They're loading up for a drop. So these Hydras and this drop is actually going to be spotted if the Vultures come through. I thought he was going to move the Vultures down here, but he hasn't done it yet. I think maybe that's what they're going to do now. We'll have to keep an eye on this yellow patch moving across the map at great speed. Alright, so here it comes. Unfortunately, though, the Hydras are here, and so they run straight into that wall of Hydras. He's going to try and run around? No. Okay. So, fortunately, Zerg there in the right position, picking off these Lings with a little bit of micro as well, which is really solid play. Alright, so 90 to 63. Almost out of money though. Here we go. Yet more drone harassment. And he's down to 18. So the Hydras being there didn't help that much. So he figured, well, all your Hydras are here, so you've probably left that other area unprotected. And he was exactly right. Meanwhile, the drop of Hydras here, which means he has to evacuate his only mining base. It's very nicely done. The Defiler's there. He throws down some plague. I don't know how useful that actually was. It's still 51 to 84. He's lifted the command centers, kept it there, he's kept these tanks on the high ground, he's going to re-land it, but he needs another base! Surely he can't do this on basically what was 3 bases in a 40-minute game. That is just not possible? Is it possible? No? Oh, another radiate. Dead Defiler. Are we long distance mining? What are we doing? Oh, we just sent back some ECVs. Hydras are still here protecting our mineral line. Some drones have transported. So his drone count is suddenly back up to 29. If he doesn't sustain any more harassment... Oh, these freaking mines! Kill an Ultra! Such good value for Terran. Yeah, this hatch is just going to get smoked. No real issues there. There's no protection here though, except maybe for these 2 Sunkens, and then you can run up into the main where there's absolutely nothing, but there's also not too much value in doing that. Looks like Zerg is kind of waiting. I like that Zerg has finally got a decent saturation across both bases and a few more Hydras here to block the harassment, because now Artosis is unable to keep resetting the drone count, and this is it. 36 minerals, 100 minerals. ... Absolutely, Mr. Gamer. ... Alright, so what do? Wait for him to come and try and kill you? Gonna have to. He's gonna have to unsiege and move everything. Oh my god, it's a lot of tanks. I think that's his plan. Go down to his very last mineral, unsiege all his tanks, walk across the map, go kill this, and go kill this. And that's it. And he can win. But just sitting here like this isn't gonna win him anything. Alright, so there we go, as I said. We're unsieging, we're moving across. Now which one are we going to target? Are we going to target this one? Or we're going to target this one. Okay, so he's scanned. I think he's scanned here. To me, I think this is the one to go for because he's got a lot of units here as well. So you shut that down. Question's got to be, is he going to try and float command center? Yeah. He has to float a command center while moving out. There's absolutely no point in not trying to set up a new source of income when he's basically going all in. Final countdown. La 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 la. I just can't fight these tanks. This is a scary amount of tanks. Why you've just moved all these tanks down and left them here, I don't know. This is a terrifying army. He just sat there with it. Could have taken out both of these bases without too much hassle. This is just not enough Zerg. Yeah, suddenly some Scourge have arrived. Look at this tank count. This is brutal. Absolutely brutal. Okay, so where is this command? And he is floating his command center across. Okay, so he's going to do that while moving out of all this mech. This is just too much mech power, man. Zerg is just going to get wrecked here. And Artosis will probably win, but he has not played well. Zerg's going to try and flank. I don't know. It's going to have to be some really good plagues and dark swarms, man. Here goes the ultra. Dun, 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 dun. There's no mines protecting these units. I guess that is one thing he has going for him. Going to irradiate some drones. Painful. But this is it. This is the big fight. We'll zoom out a bit as we see it coming. Where is the Zerg going to go? TVZ transferred. Going to do a little bit of mining here. He has set up another base. That kind of also forces the engagement. Here they come from both sides. I've zoomed in a little bit. He's unsieged for some reason. Why he unsieged and resieged, I don't know exactly. No, what the frick was that? He's let basically all of these hydras get on top of him, which was not necessary at all. But I don't think it's going to matter, although supplies are dead. Even the defensive matrix are really, really helping. But more hydras are coming in, and the plague should make these tanks killable. This is so close. But he does get, I think, 5 more hydras, but there's still just too many tanks here. Artosis holds, and I think that was probably the last roll of the dice for our Zerg. He's just out of money himself now. This base is mined out. This base has got a few minerals left, and Artosis has got this. As our observer says, no effing way, because I get it. He hasn't played well. Zerg really, with some better decision making and unit composition, should have won this game quite a while ago. He's going to get away with one that he probably doesn't, in inverted commas, deserve. But sometimes that happens, and inversely, sometimes he loses games that he deserves to win. So a bit of a painful one. Dan to win, sick game indeed. We'll just wait for the GG momentarily, but I've had a lot of fun doing these retro games. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying watching these games from this era. I certainly am enjoying bringing them to you. These maps, these 2-player maps from that time are also actually a hell of a lot of fun, I must be honest. Establishing this base again. There's so many minerals here in this corner base. He's like, I'm gonna win. How much money do they have? Not much. Like, can you not see as an observer how much money they have in this at this time? Oh, that's so annoying. Okay, well, luckily Remastered came out and changed that. Alright, come on boys, let's finish this one off. Here come the remaining Zerg forces to take another fight. A lot of mines though. And here come the remaining little lings, little hydras. But these vultures are going to come in here. We've established now that our Zerg player's name is Jake. Well played, Jake. You played a really, really solid game, but unfortunately I think you're going to come up short here against Mr. Dan Stemkowski. 36 plays 77. Stubbornly not GGing out of this bloody game yet. This base has gone down. I think because he's re-established this base, he's given himself like a glimmer of hope. But Artosis has held onto this base quite nicely with his Goliaths. He's got all of 17 SCVs left. Oh, what a crazy game. So he has maxed out a few more units. I think he's still keen to take a few more fights. Play to the bitter end, as we do sometimes all do. The one thing I will say in this game is Artosis was pretty consistent using his Vultures to kill drones. And that made a huge difference in terms of getting him over the line in this game. So my compliments to him for that. That was really good. And as I say that, here we go. Even more base and drone harassment from his side. That has certainly worked pretty well. Killing even more drones. Down to 7. It's got 7 drones left, as our friend Jake. And you really can't do much with 7 drones, no matter who you are. Both players certainly had their chances in this game. The swings in terms of the lead in this game were sometimes enormous. Another hatch coming up here just for production. There's no money here to be had. Lays the mines, does his harassment, moves out again. Got this base up and running finally. Dropped a few Zerglings. Didn't help much. Got the Vultures there to tidy that up. He's taken one last run at this base of Artosis, but there is just heaps and heaps of tanks here. The D-Matrixes as well. The Hydras evaporate. That we've seen so many times through this game. Dead Hydra corpses is probably one of the big themes in this match. And dead drones to Vultures. Well played to both players. Artosis pulling off another win. That's 2 in a row for me on the channel. I've cast 2 games of his today and he won both of them. This was a very enjoyable TVZ. I'm Rabidrew. I cast Brood War content on a regular basis. Do subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed today's game. Until next time, ciao for now.